Hi. Hi, hello. I know you miss me. I know you think about me every day. I know you're sitting there and you were going, oh my God, I wish you could talk to me today. And I'm here. I'm back. I'm here to make your dreams come true because yes. Because yeah. Because right. Um, welcome to Let's Talk About That with TNG. I am your host, TNG. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This is the podcast where I give you weekly updates every Monday so far. I don't know who, what, when, where, why I made up that rule, but it's been every Monday. I give you updates about my life and what I'm doing and how it's going and my love life, my work life, my social life, my mental health, my physical health, because I am an open book and I like sharing and I like storytelling and I think I'm good at it. It's one of the few things that I think I'm good at. I'm good at photography, or at least it's something that I want to work on. But I think I'm good at photography. I think I'm good at storytelling, and those are like my top two skills. I'm not gonna start saying that in job interviews because I don't think it's gonna get me anywhere. But I'm gonna let you know because you are my confidant. You are my right hand man. You are my best friend, my brother in Christ. You are my bread and butter, my blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I was thinking about recently? What does shiver me timbers means? What does it mean? I the more English I speak, the less English I feel like I know. But it's like that analogy of the table, you know. If hypothetically all the knowledge you have is inside of a table, the bigger the table gets, the that doesn't mean that there's less space. Like if the area of the surface of the table is the amount of knowledge you have, and the circumference, not the the what do you call the thing that goes around, like the circumference is this but for a circle, so the equivalent of that in a non-circle is blank. Whatever, doesn't matter. The point is, the bigger the area of the table gets, the bigger the this other thing that is surrounding the measurements of the sizes of the table gets, because the table is getting bigger if the area is getting bigger. So the more you know, the more you don't know, and that's kind of beautiful. That is kind of beautiful. I Happy Monday. What are your affirmations for this week? What are your plans, your goals, your aspirations for the week? What is your word of the week? What word are we entering this week with? What mentality are we here together manifesting in this day? What the fuck is going on in this day? Um what the fuck is going on here on this day? I don't know. I was trying to make a RuPaul's Drag Race reference that Alyssa Edwards made once. Blah blah blah. I think this week. Let me set my intentions. Should we set our intentions together? Yes. Let's do that. This week, I and part of it is a reflection of last week. I think now that I've been in LA for 2 months, which, guys, I've been in LA for 2 months. My 1 month, I was still like very much attached to home, deep rooted in home, or Tampa. But now that I've been here for 2 months, I feel different. I feel I have found more community. I've found wonderful and amazing people that I see all the time, and it makes me so happy. Even yesterday, I met this new person, and she is 25, and she's going to grad school, and we were talking just about our paths in life and all of that. And I know that the age difference between a 23-year-old and a 25-year-old is so short, and I know that the older you get, the less of a difference there is. Like when you're 1 year old versus 4 years old, that's like a completely different life stage, and so is when you're 18 versus when you're 21. And I understand that between 23 and 25 there's not that big of a difference, but there's definitely more of a difference that when you're 45 and 50, or 95 and 100. You know what I mean? The rate at which you change and you learn and you grow is definitely still exponential. It's definitely exponential with it slowing down as you age. And I was talking to her, and I don't know, she gave me a refreshing perspective, I guess, of being 25, because I've known a couple other 25-year-olds, and you know what I think it is too. In Tampa, there's so much more of a laid back lifestyle, or maybe the opposite. There's more of there's less time for whimsy, there's less time to explore, there's less time to discover and kind of fully immerse yourself in a culture that does not care about time. It doesn't care about time. It doesn't care about, it almost feels like there's no pressure. There's no, it's not a lack of responsibility. It's more so a freedom of understanding that, good things come to those who wait, which is something that I've been telling myself a lot because I went through a lot recently. And so I've been really trying to tell myself to be patient. I had a moment, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where I was pointing out all the bad things in my life, right? I was like, well, my job doesn't pay me a lot, and I don't have my fully completely own apartment. Like I share a kitchen and a living room, and parking near where I live is really tricky because I live so close to like downtown and stuff, and the list just kind of kept going because I was like, well, sometimes I don't like my outfits. Sometimes I don't like that my arms feel too thick. Sometimes I feel like I don't have enough workout outfits. Sometimes I wish I was more athletic, yada, 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 XYZ. And I was like, if I keep pointing out the sad and horrible things in my life, I will never be able to appreciate the good parts. I truly will never be able to appreciate the good parts. And it came because there's this micro influencer based in Tampa, and no tea, no shade to her. I love her, but she posted on her story and she was like, I just reached an X amount of followers. Like, thank you so much for everybody that's been like watching my content and stuff. And I was like, wow, I've been posting a lot and I post really consistently. And I the end goal is like, not obviously, but the end goal is not to be an influencer for me personally. Like, I'm not trying to be an influencer. Would it be great and fun and cute? Yes. And would I like to be able to use my voice in an online platform to accentuate the things that I believe in and to be able to lift others and give them a voice and a platform if I had one? 1,000%. But I have other career goals and other goals in my life right now that I like. For example, this podcast. Like, I care more about this podcast than I do about becoming an influencer. And so I saw her post that and I was like, I felt kind of sad because I was like, wow, I post so much, and I sometimes I do try, you know what I mean? Like, I do sit here in my room and talk to myself for 20 minutes to be able to have something to post because I like having a digital journal. I like having, like, I really like the idea that someday, if and when I ever have kids, or, anybody of my lineage, even my nephews, my sister's kids, they one day will be able to play this in 10, 5, 20, 30, 50, 60, who knows how long the internet is going to last, 100 years, 200 years. And they'll be able to know who I was and know what I was going through, and maybe hopefully feel a little less alone, and know that there was somebody back there that was trying to still preserve kind of a keepsake of their life. And that's what truly I do the podcast for. I started the podcast because I had anxiety, and I have anxiety, and it was an outlet for me to, sorry, I talk with my hands so much. My hand is like, it's been up this entire time in frame, but I started this podcast because I have anxiety, and it helps me vocalize my thoughts. And that another big reason why I keep doing this is because, I would hope and I would dream and I really cross my fingers and think that maybe someone out there, even if it is one person a month, listens to one of my episodes. Even if it's one person a year, then it would have been worth it, because when I am down bad and someone comes to me and tells me about their situation and how they're doing, and I find comfort in it, I find solace in it, it is so refreshing and just so beautiful. And it really brings me joy, and it brings me peace. It brings me calm. And so if there's one single person out there who, listens to this, and even, even if they use me as a stepping stone, and that one person out there goes, she is having such a shitty day, so at least my day isn't as shitty as hers, so therefore my day is going to be good, then that would have been worth it. Or who knows, like, what if in 1 year I'm moving, and I'm moving to New York City, or I'm moving to Shanghai, I'm moving to London, I'm moving to a big mecca of the world, I'm moving to Paris, right? And I'm like, wow, like, this is so hard, like, transitioning and packing everything I have. Then at that point, I'll be like, wait, let me listen back to what I said, because I bet I had at least one nugget of information in like when I moved to LA that would probably come and be helpful to my life now. So if even, such a small piece of information is able to just be communicated to someone in a positive manner, then this entire podcast would have been worth it. But the point is, I was like, if I keep comparing myself to somebody that's always doing better than me, I will never be satisfied. I will never be okay with the point in life that I am now. And I remember, shout out Hamilton, I will never be satisfied. I remember one time having a conversation with my dad, and he was like, oh, like, were you the best score in your class for your exam? And I was like, oh, no, I wasn't, but I was only like 2 points away from getting 100. And he went, well, I was like, well, a lot of people didn't do as well. Like, even though like maybe only 2 or 3 people did better than me, that means that there's still like 15, 17 people that did worse than me. And he went, well, yeah, but if you always compare yourself to someone who's doing worse, you'll always be doing better. And that was really detrimental as a child for my learning and my development and my growing up, because I realized at the end of the day, it is not about whether you should compare yourself to someone who's doing worse. Because like, of course, there's obviously someone out there doing worse. There's someone who's afraid and never moved. There's someone who's afraid and never came out of the closet. There's someone who believes they, not to make it deep, but believes that this world would be a better place without them. And these are all thoughts that I've had, and I'm not going to sit here and compare myself to those people being like, oh wow, well, I'm so much better than them because they never even tried. Because that is just as toxic and rotten. Rotten is it's just deeply despicable and rotten to compare yourself to someone who's doing worse than you and almost pry and almost celebrate their downfall by highlighting your success. But at the same time, it is just as inherently incorrect and just incorrect, objectively wrong to compare yourself to someone who's doing better than you. Oh my God, this conversation is making me want to tear up, but it's true. Like, just as much as I shouldn't be like, well, I only post on a podcast once a week and this girl posts twice a week, I should not compare to someone who's like, well, they only post once every 2 weeks and I post once a week. Because comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of success. There is enough success to go around. There is enough success for everybody. There is not a single other person out there who does exactly what you do. You are so special and you're so different from everybody around you, every single person around you. There's not a single other person in the world, in the universe, in the history of the universe who's exactly like you, who has the exact same thoughts as you, and who has the exact same, trains of thoughts and creativity as you do. So the only person you should truly be comparing yourself to is your past self, and even then it's kind of hard because, well, I think about it and I'm like, well, there's been times where I've had more money than I do now. There's been times where I've been happier than I am now. There's been times where I've been, I've had more friends, or I've had a girlfriend, or I've had more Instagram. Actually, I don't think I've ever had more Instagram followers than I do right now, which I don't have a lot, but it's been steady growth. Or, I've had more views on TikTok or more likes on TikTok. Even that is kind of difficult because me, who I am today, is simply who I am in this very exact same moment. Like, TNG right now on August 3rd, 2026 will only be TNG today. She will only be herself on this day today, and tomorrow she will be a different person. So although, at some point maybe I had more TikTok views, at that point maybe my mental health wasn't as good. And, maybe at some point my mental health was perfect, but, maybe I wasn't making as much money as I am now, which I'm not really making any money now, but, there were points in my life where I wasn't making any money. So, or maybe there were points in my life where I was saving more in the bank and, maybe at those points I had no friends. Or maybe there were times when I had really, really, really good friends, but, I was too scared to put myself out there and try to have a love life, or I was too scared to, put myself out there and post on social media the way that I wanted. And so I think you have to remember that at the very end of the day, I think, at the end of the day, it is the end. But besides that, you have to remember that the person you are today is a product of all that came before you, and every single version of you that has existed throughout time has funneled into who you are today. And that is really beautiful. That is really beautiful. But, and it's a big but, like mine, you can listen to my podcasts on YouTube. I don't know if I've said that, but I have a YouTube channel now where I upload my podcasts, and you can listen to them on Apple Podcasts as well and on Spotify. And you should follow me on Instagram at TNG underscore HQ and on TikTok at TNG elite dot underscore. I believe that is, I'm not too sure. And I will go on a run today. So I'm feeling very, very, very accomplished. I am strong. I'm smart. I have a wonderful body that, sustains me and takes care of me. This past weekend, I was actually pretty mellow. I know. I only went to the bar once. Yeah. Like, who am I? I literally stay home. I cuddle next to the fireplace with my book. I can't even paint this fantasy because it is not who I am. No, but I only went to the bar on Saturday night. I went to the Speakeasy in Hollywood, and on Friday night, I think I cried. I think I cried a little bit. Yeah, I think I cried a little bit, but that's okay. I on Sunday I went to the beach. No, Saturday I went to the beach, and I missed out on Fruitcake, which is a queer slash sapphic slash lesbian party in LA that hosts their events usually at Untamed Spirits, and that's where it was. And I missed out on it this past time, and I was kind of feeling bummed about it. I was feeling FOMO about it, but then one of my friends texted me, and I was like, "How was it?" And she was like, "Honestly, it was really bad." So I kind of feel better about that. It was Kyle's birthday at Fruitcake. Kyle was on the Queer Ultimatum, and Kyle and Bridget are the people who host the party. But every weekend there's gonna be another lesbian party, because at the end of the day, when it is the end, there will always be another lesbian party. Like I almost went to this rave last Thursday, and the theme of the rave was I love lesbians, and I was texting my friends from back home, and I was like, should I go to this rave? It's Thursday, but also like, if it we ball, like, should I just rave? It's a lesbian rave. And she was like, is the theme of the rave lesbian? And I sent her a screenshot of the poster that literally said big fat gay rave, and the name of it was I love lesbians. And I was like, in LA, you don't just go to a rave, you go to the lesbian rave. You don't just go to a sports bar, you go to the lesbian sports bar. You don't just go to the bar in general, you don't go to the club, you go to the lesbian club. You don't eat food, you eat lesbian food, which we all know what that is. Sorry, I'm gonna keep that to myself. You don't just drink water, you drink lesbian water. You don't just sleep, I lesbian sleep. You don't just breathe air, I breathe lesbian air. And that is LA in a nutshell. I am a lesbian 24/7. I'm more lesbian than I've ever lesbian before. It's almost like a verb, like I lesbian. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like lesbian, to me, my journey with the word lesbian started with it being a noun, as in I am a lesbian, you are a lesbian, they are a lesbian. And then it became an adjective for something. So it would be like this lesbian bar, this lesbian party, she is lesbian, he is lesbian. And now it's almost a verb and an adjective. I lesbian, you lesbian, we lesbian, she lesbians, he lesbians. And I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that I have finally reached that peak in my life. This is a peak for sure. And this weekend, I have huge, exciting plans. I am actually going to see the sequoia trees. I've heard about them online literally my entire life. Like, who doesn't know what a sequoia tree is and what the Sequoia National Forest Park situation is? And I'm very excited, and I've always wanted to go. And my friend Mallory was like, oh my God, we should go. And I was like, you know what? I'm not usually a nature girl, but I think this is one of the things I should see before I die. Because aren't those trees like older than like anything ever on Earth? And recently, when I was at Malibu, like at the beach, I was at El Matador beach, and because Point Doom, which I wanted to go initially, is eroding, so it is closed until future notice. And El Matador beach is also on the rockier side, so I saw so many crabs. I saw a sea anemone in the wild for the first time, and that made me very happy because I really, really like sea anemones and sea creatures. I really like sea creatures. They make me really happy seeing them. I have a sand dollar tatted on my shoulder, which, I've always wanted that tattoo. And then this other person I knew got it. And at the time, I was like, oh my God, yeah, I should get it. It would be kind of hee hee ha funny. We have matching tattoos. And now we're not as close. So it's now just kind of weird that I have it. And sometimes when I see it, I think of them. But I've always wanted this tattoo regardless because I really like sea urchins, sand dollars. But I also like urchins. I do love sea urchins. I would get a tattoo of a sea urchin. Oh my God, should I get a tattoo of a sea urchin? Anyways, I on my other hand, I have another tattoo. On my other arm, I have another tattoo, and it's a star, and it's a matching tattoo with my best friend who lives in Germany. If you're looking at the camera, I'm flexing my arm. Mm, mm. Ew, ew, ew. I can't believe you heard that. Um, but the star, it kind of looks like I'm going for a nautical theme because I have a sandal on one side and what it looks like a sea star on the other. But what didn't plan it as a sea star. It kind of just showed up as a sea star because my friend had a sea star tattoo. But I would definitely, there's many more other ocean tattoos that I would get. As I mentioned earlier, I would get a sea urchin. I would get waves. I would get oh my God, I would get a manta ray. I would get a tiger shark or a nurse shark. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I would also get a proper sea star hikey. And now, oh my God, now would hikey get a sea anemone. Oh my God, should I get a sea anemone? I need so much money for so many tattoos. I need 10K in the bank right now for tattoos. And I would also get, I don't know, maybe the LA skyline. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. But I feel like, oh my God, I would get an I love LA tattoo. I would do that. It's cheesy and corny and I would. Who cares? Not me. But, life is good. Life is looking up. I have a lot of hope and faith for this week. I met someone recently and their middle name was Hope, and then I have another friend named Faith. So when I said that, it made me think of them, and I think that's kind of beautiful. But thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. Thank you so much for listening to me this week, every week to come. If you want to be on the podcast, I don't know, let me know. Maybe I'll have a guest on someday. I've only had one guest on, and it was years and years and years ago when I still lived in Honduras. I recently invested in a podcast mixer so that I can buy podcast mics and I can have other people in the podcast because that would be so exciting and so fun if all my friends could come in the pod and we could all talk. So, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Rate this podcast 5 stars on Spotify and follow it if you aren't already, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button down below, and comment I don't know, like a poop emoji. Like, what do YouTubers say? But yeah, thank you so much. I love you. I miss you, and I'll see you next time.